Guys have been doing quite a lot of MIDI editing on a Friday afternoon and a wee bit of composition as well in there where you're creating your own ideas and remixing pre-recorded MIDI parts as well. We might not have spent too much time talking about Pro Tools, the session window, the dialog boxes that show up, and I'm just going to run over them as we progress here. So as well as using this as an opportunity to create some new music, we'll also be discussing the techniques and what some of these little boxes mean. Okay. So we've already covered sample rates and bit resolutions in the assessment we did for signal path. So you've already communicated, for the most part, an understanding of what that means. But the higher these numbers, the better the quality is going to be. And these machines should be able to run 24-bit and 48 kilohertz in a huge session without many problems. So that's what I'd like us, for my classes, always to use. This is above CD quality audio, and it will sound a little bit better. But the 24-bit is really important because it gives you a lot more headroom. So your mix can be a lot louder, okay? Something like 50 decibels louder than 16-bit, in theory and on paper. Then we can save where we want it to save by just clicking on location. So always make sure you obviously save it to your folder. I'm going to call this USP Week 9 comp, something like that, something that I'll remember it by. Never use a template, always create a new session. Click create, and that'll be my windows here. Okay. So again, just be comfortable with the shortcuts. Always make sure you've got A and Z activated in your edit window there. That means that you can use the hotkeys on your keyboard to do things like zoom in and zoom out. And within your mix window, make sure A and Z is down here, activated. That means when you create new groups, you'll see a little letter next to them, and that letter will activate the groups on and off. Of course, we need some tracks in order to do that. So first thing I'm going to do is create my standard tracks. So what should be in every session you do? What's that? We'll have auxiliary tracks, we'll be using them, but again, master, that's it. The stereo master is what we're after here. Stereo master, and it should stay at 0, okay? That means that you're applying unity, that you know that you're observing the best gain structure you can for your session. It means that the outputs won't clip, and if they do clip, you can bring everything else down to sit around it. So your master should always remain at 0. If you don't have a master fader, you don't have an idea of what all the signal levels are doing once you sum them together, because at that point you're just hearing them, and it could be little points of distortion there that you're not actually experiencing. So stereo master fader, click create, and I'm going to fire in a click track up here as well. Track and click track. Okay, hold on. So let me just see if I'm getting a signal here. Okay, so the little issue with my inputs and outputs, you can see it's always default to some weird output which I don't like. So I'm going to go into my setup and then my I/O, my inputs and outputs, and I'm going to create new paths here. It's fine. So new path, stereo, call it output, add default channel assignments. So that means it's the Avid M box, it's sending it to left and right, so I've got 2 outputs to play with. That's going to feed the speakers and duplicate it as well across onto the headphone output. That seems fine. I need to set up an addition path. That means that when I'm going to be importing audio, I can listen to it before I bring it into Pro Tools. But I need to set that up in here as well. Click OK. Just change these. Okay, and hopefully it will default to that every time I add a new track. So let's give it a wee listen. Cool. Got my tempo, got my beats per minute. I'm going to change this. I'm going to create a little kind of hip-hoppy vibe today, so I'm going to go down to about 87 beats per minute. So I'm going to change the click track here. First of all, I tell Pro Tools to change the tempo. So I can go to event and then tempo operations, and it's Alt and 2. So just remember, Alt keypad 2 brings up your tempo operations window. I'm going to set that to 87. You see that the relative timeline of bars and beats changes. Of course, the minutes and seconds remain the same. They're absolute. Give that a wee listen. Cool. Maybe I'm still a wee bit too fast, so I'm going to bring it down to 84. And it might sound tedious, but sometimes just 1 or 2 BPM of change can be a very subtle but very important change to your tempo. It actually changes the vibe. Stops feeling like people are going to trip up when they're listening to it, and it's more languid, maybe footsteppy. But you'll know from your own music itself. Cool. Sounds okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a drum track. Okay, I'm going to find a loop. So on your desktop you'll have an audio loops folder. It's got gigabytes and gigabytes of different genres of music and samples recorded. So we've got instrument loops, we've got percussive loops, we've got practice sessions where you can open it up and it's got lots of instruments already set up with audio and MIDI ready to go. So I want to import some audio. So I always make sure I'm back at the start of my session, hit carriage return on the keyboard, and then go to File, and then go to Import Audio, and always take a little note of your shortcuts, okay, because that's what's going to speed you up. Now that took me 5 seconds or so, or 3 seconds to go up to File, Import, Find Audio. I might have accidentally clicked something else, I have to go back in and do it. It's going to add up over an 8-hour mix if you constantly have to use your mouse to go up into your shortcuts. So Command Shift and I, if you please, brings up Import Audio. Then you just navigate to the desktop, find your audio loops folder. Come on, patience, let's see my man. Go to the audio loops folder, and then you've got all your different genres of music in here. So I'm going to do a kind of hip hop vibe. I'm going to actually see if I can use a kind of R&B or a kind of funk kind of look to create it. So I'm going to go in here, go to my drums, go to funk drums in here, and the number is the tempo. So the tempo of my track's 87, but I can squish and move this around if I have to. It's always better if you can to squish drums, okay, to make them quicker than they actually are recorded. You've got an attack portion of your transient for your kicks and your snares and your hats and your cymbals. And if you stretch them out, you're stretching out the attack portion of the envelope, so you lose that impact. But if you actually make them a bit shorter, okay, make them a bit faster, then you're decreasing the attack and it sounds more punchy. Okay, so always try and think about that. If you're bringing in audio, sometimes picking audio that's slightly slower than the session that you're going for is actually going to work for you a little bit better. And remember that there is an area, probably after a bar and a half, if you stretch out the audio, it's going to start degrading a little bit, but not too much, not noticeably anyway. Anyway, let me go down and see what's happening down here. So I click on the groove that I like, and then I hit play, and it'll audition it for me. Okay, quite like that, so I'm going to convert it, because this is CD quality audio. If I don't sample rate convert it on the way in, I'm going to end up with missing samples, which are going to glitch, okay? It's not a nice glitch, it's a digital distortion, or that sort of stuff going on that you can't actually remove, and it just is louder than everything else in your mix, okay? So, convert it on the way in, that means it's going to apply sample rate, and it's going to interpolate new samples in between the ones that are missing there, so I can now run it at 48 kilohertz. I quite like that. I'm going to click Done, and now it tells me to choose a destination folder. This is Pro Tools 101, okay. Pro Tools is a session folder. It's not like Ableton, it has a packaged file with all the information in it. And similar logic as well. It's got a full folder, and in that folder you've got your Pro Tools session. You also have an audio files folder that stores all the audio for that session. Now what will happen to you at least once is that you will take your session away to work on it elsewhere, but you won't take the audio because you haven't copied it into that audio files folder. So Pro Tools goes there to look for it, and it can't find it because you've stored it on your machine that's in the studio or it's in class or elsewhere. So it's a huge problem. So this is why when we import audio, we always need to make sure that we copy it into the audio files folder. So it's moving it from the audio loops on the desktop into the session folder that I've created. Are you with me? Okay, and if you don't do that, then the audio goes missing, alright, and there's nothing anybody can do until you get that session back onto that machine. So we could moan about it, we could complain, oh that's a bit tedious, that's a bit of a kind of convoluted way of dealing with it, or we could just, accept it and then make sure that all we need to do is click open every time, okay, automatically takes us to that destination folder. Click on new track, and now I've got my groove coming in here, so it's way at the start, so I can use T to zoom in here. So there we go, you can tell the loop, if we just solo it, take the click off. fix that in a wee second. In fact, I'll do it right now. Set up inputs and outputs. It's not automatically going to my output, sending it elsewhere first. That should be us now. You shouldn't run into that problem. Anyway, here we go. 2, 3, 4, 2 bars. And we can see here, because it's at 70 beats per minute and my tempo's at 84, it's lasting a wee bit too long. So I'm going to pull that groove in so that it now lasts 2 bars. And to do it, we use time compression and expansion tool. You'll notice that all these little buttons up here, or these little functions, have submenus. If you click and hold, it brings up these guys. Forgive me if you've already went through some of this with Sean, but there's nothing wrong with recapping. Similarly, grabber tools get different functions. This is probably the one that you most commonly use. So you can use your F keys. Let me just double check my keyboard is set up. Yep. You can use your F keys to actually trigger these buttons up here again, saving you some time. F6 is the trimmer tool, and if you hit it again and again, it toggles through each of the functions in the submenu. F7, is your selector tool, F8 is your grabber tool, F10 is your pencil tool. And if you hit F7 and F8 together, or F6 and F7 together, it activates the smart tool. And that changes the function of the mouse depending on which part of the waveform you're actually over. So if you're at halfway, above halfway, it's your selector tool in the middle. If you're underneath halfway, it's the grabber tool. If you go to the edges, it changes it to whatever function the trimmer tool's got. And if you go up to the top left and right, it allows you to fade in. Okay, so it's really, really handy. Really handy when you're doing your mix. The thing I want to concentrate on now is my time compression expansion. So this means it keeps the size of the audio that's there, but it's going to move it, stretch it over a larger area, or squish it into a smaller area. The other functions of this are cropping it, getting rid of it, or looping it. Okay, it just takes what's already there and it just starts to create more and more of the same. Okay, but time compression expansion is what I'm after. So I'm going to squish it into 2 bars and see how it sounds. Put my click track back on. Okay, so it's in time. The groove's a wee bit out, but that's totally fine because I'm not going to have my click track through it anyway. But it is in time now, which is what I'm after. But I could also stretch it over 4 bars if I wanted to make it a bit slower. Okay, but you notice how the attacks and the sound kind of changes and it doesn't sound quite as good. Anyway, this is what I'm after. I always like to leave a wee bit of space at the start of my session in case I want to put an intro, in case I want to have a wee bit of wiggle room as I go into do a recording. I'll put some overdubs or whatever on top of it. So I always move my waveform forward a little bit. I'm going to create a little marker. We use the enter button down here, and it just says, call this start, and now it appears in my marker ruler up here. So I can very quickly see when I zoom out all the sort of narrative of my track set up through these markers here. Okay, I'll just move that back a wee bit. Cool, but it's a real drum recording, it's quite an old sound as well, so it's kind of missing a lot of bottom end in there. If I just solo it. So I'm going to reinforce that kick drum so I've got more control over it. This means as well that I can then add effects to the kick drum, double it up, triple it up, however I feel about it. But it's going to reinforce that backbone of the track, which is the kick. So to do that, I'm going to use a virtual instrument. So I'm going to bring in a mono instrument track. Have you used instrument tracks yet? You guys have been doing, so some of you might have used them, but you guys have been using MIDI channels sending to an auxiliary with that virtual instrument on it. It's a really good way of working, and it's the way that you should work because that allows you to have more than one MIDI instrument plugged in and you can trigger different sounds with it. So it's very important. An instrument track kind of bridges the auxiliary and the MIDI and it fuses them together. So you can have MIDI information coming from your keyboard, but importantly, you can actually insert something onto this track. So I'm just going to put in the Boom plugin, which is like a classic drum module. It's got some 808, 909 emulations in it as well. And it's got this cool wee function where you can actually program in the pattern and then just hold the key in and it'll trigger that pattern if you're up a high enough octave on the keyboard. So let's hear what sounds. Okay, so again, if you're up high enough on the keyboard, then holding it in is going to play different patterns. But if you transpose down the octaves, then you can trigger just the individual sound. Okay, don't like that. Something a bit more punchy. Sounds okay, let's see what else we've got. Oh, that's it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play along, probably quite badly, the drum groove here as I expect it to be. Then I'm going to go in and I'm going to very quickly quantize it to tighten it up. And I'm going to show you another way of doing it where you can actually do it in real time and Pro Tools will do the processing for you, okay, and it saves a little bit of time. So let me just hear the groove again. Yeah, I should be able to get that. Should be. So. Put my click track back on, that'll help. And you can just use 3 on the keypad once you've record enabled one of your tracks. Once you've armed one of your tracks, just hit 3 and it'll start recording for you. Almost. Give it another wee go. Cool. Closer, warmer, better. Now what I want to do is use my grabber tool and just click click and that opens up, as you know, my piano roll and I can get in there and edit my MIDI notes. So I'm very close with it, but I'm still a wee bit out. So I check my grid up here, it's set to 16ths. If I go to 8th notes, then 8th notes wouldn't be enough because when it quantizes it to 8th note, it's going to either move it there or move it there. I need to get in between it. So I use my grid divisions up here just to double check that. But you don't need to select your grid in order to quantize it to that division. So draw a little square around your MIDI notes and then bring up the quantize window. Anybody remember the shortcut for that? Spot on. Alt and 0 brings up your quantize, your event operations window, but already configured to look at quantize. 16th note is what I need to quantize this to. Click apply, moves it in. Now give it a listen along with the drums. Cool, I quite like it. The audio is a wee bit out, so I'm actually going to quantize the audio here, same as I would quantize the MIDI, okay? But in order to do that, I need to apply a little plugin called Elastic Audio in here. Now, 9 out of the 10 loop, you won't have to do this to, but just for ones like this, just to tighten up a little bit. So I'm going to put on my Elastic Audio, and this is going to allow me to then quantize the audio to lock it in, to process it, to stretch it into the little grooves that I need it to work for. So I've got all these different options, and we'll go over this in far more detail moving forward, okay, but don't have the time for it this morning. Now that I've put this on, I can then select my quantize again, Alt and 0, with my audio selected, and then I can quantize it close to the nearest point in the grid. So I'm going to try 16ths again, I'll just zoom in here. Okay, nice little change there, it's just kind of locked them in. Let's give it a listen now. Much better. Now you can hear those kicks, there's no that kind of wee latency, that wee disagreement between them, they're now locked right in. Excellent, cool. So I'm happy with that. So I'm starting to build up my ideas here. So that's when you can get and quantize the MIDI after you do it, but that can be quite time consuming. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the real-time properties. And again, whether you want to use these or not, it's up to yourself, but it's to get you thinking that, to show you that Pro Tools can do pretty much what most of the other softwares out there can do, so that you kind of you approach this with the same mentality, okay? Anyway, so yeah, real-time properties. Bring this guy up. I can click it up here, save me a wee bit of time, or I could go up to events and then MIDI real-time properties as well. Once I put quantize on here, I can then check the divisions of the grid, 16ths, 8ths, that's what's going to quantize to. But I need to pick the smallest division I'm going to use. So I'm going to put a snare and I'm going to put a hi-hat as well on top of this. I'm going to keep it at 16ths. I'm going to record it on the way in. something like that, okay, and see how it sounds. And I can't play piano. I can, as I say, I can kind of throw my hands around on it and get a general idea, but then I can get in after it and I can really start to move the notes around and create realism with it. So I'm just going to play along with it, something like that. And I might hit the wrong note, you might hear it out of time, but what should happen is when I go back around and listen to it again, that it's actually got, it's actually playing it in time. Okay, so take solo off, hit 3 down here to trigger the recording. Okay, let's give it a listen. Cool, alright, so nice and in time. It doesn't actually change the notes though. If I get in here, I can still see that they're out of time. There's the brain computer delay that I've got there. That's the music playing back, how long it takes me to actually start playing it. Okay, so it doesn't process them. What I need to do to process them is go to Event, Real-Time Properties, and then Write to Track. And then you can see it making those changes there. That's good. So this is much, much quicker. Last thing I'm going to do is throw a wee snare drum. Maybe go with that, see how that sounds. Let me just give it a quick listen. Nice and straightforward. 2, 3, 4. Cool, nice wee bit of movement there as well. So quantize is on. Again, I can write it to the track if I want, and Alt and keypad 4 brings that up. Nice one, so let me give that a listen then, without the click. Sweet, and I'm going to use the little trim tool, the standard function up here, just to tighten up this little pattern that I've got. Okay, that's me get a solid 2-bar lip in there. Now what I'm going to do is extend this across. So do you know the shortcut to loop or to repeat? Command D, good. Okay, that's one way of doing it. Alt and R is the way I use. Okay, it allows me to set the amount of duplicates I want. So I do Alt and R, and I've got a 2-bar loop, and I want it to last for 16 bars. So I'm going to add another 7 bars in, or 7 repeats. So that should give me 16 bars all in. If I change my meter up here to bars and beats, more than easy, then you can see here the length is 16 bars. Okay, that's what I'm after. Similar thing down here. I'll just Alt and R, repeat that 7 times. I'm going to set up a little marker at the end here and just call it end. Okay, starting to create a nice tight little session here, and pretty straightforward. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a bass melody, a pre-recorded bass melody to bring in here, something probably on a real actual instrument, and then I'm going to reinforce that with other sounds as well. And then after that, I'm just going to leave you guys to it, okay, to work through it, because the musical creativity part is obviously something that you guys are bringing this morning, and it's not a music performance course at the end of the day. We facilitate you, show you the technology, you guys then bring the groove and whatever else. Okay, so Command Shift and I to import some audio. I'm going to go Funk and Soul, go back to my main menu here and have a wee look at what audio loops I've got to play with. So going to hip hop, bass, go for real bass. Now I need to try and find something that's going to go along with this groove, so I'm going to try and keep that in my mind when I go through these. So let's see what we've got. Nope. Let's try that. Might not work, but at the time being it sounds pretty good. Again, hit open to move that audio into it and click OK. So I'm just going to solo this and deal with it to begin with. So it's at 85 beats per minute, my session's at 84, you can see how close it is, it's almost there. So I'm just going to time compression expansion and squeeze that into time. Give it a listen along my click track. Okay, it's a very aggressive sound, I like it. Let's see if it goes along with the groove that I've brought in here. cool. And then with my drums. Cool, I quite like it, and I've also got a key there to now start putting some melodies on top of. G minor, okay, the happiest of all the keys. Okay, repeat this, Alt and R, brings up, again, just kind of 16 bar loops, okay, and that's the kind of stuff that students of mine from my first year of teaching, they went on to create beats for people, okay, and in one night they can sit and do groove after groove after groove, pulling in samples from old vinyl records, pulling in drum grooves from massive databases that they've got, and then they sell them on for lots and lots of money, right? Hundreds of pounds, in fact, for sometimes it can only be a 45 to an hour amount of work, okay? Again, you're not paying for the person's time, you're paying for their experience, their technology, and their ability to be efficient workers. Okay, so yeah, so I've got a kind of cool groove in here. I quite like it, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and put in a string sound, okay, a nice big string sound. So I'm going to use a stereo instrument track here, and I'll use the X-Band. So if I hit Alt and click on anything, it will then take all my solos on or off as I need it. And up here, multi-channel plug-in, instrument, and X-Band. So let's see, as it always defaults to Beneath the Waves. Or something. Okay, go into the string section and go to whatever I'm feeling. Okay, I'm going to go for solo violin because I really do like it. G minor, so let's figure that one out. Something like that. Okay, and I hate doing this bit in front of everybody because it's like trying to write when somebody's peering over your shoulder. Sometimes you find it kind of difficult to find that moment of magic, alright, but I'll see what happens. I'm just going to play along with it, loop this round and see if I find something. Again, I don't want to spend too long on this particular aspect of it. Cool. As a starting point, I like it. So I'm going to put on quantize again and quantize it to the nearest eighth note this time. Cool. Okay, I'm going to put a wee harmony on it this time round. Let's have some fun. Cool, better record it. 2, 3, 4. So far so good, and let's get a wee cello sound on there as well. It doesn't travel as well down into the low frequencies this sound, but we'll give it a go. Okay, that was pretty crap. Here we go down here, just going to fix this up. Rid of these guys. Oh, hello. And then copy these across. So once you select your audio, hold in Alt, or your MIDI, sorry, and drag. You can create your little copies there. I'm just going to write the real-time properties to this track, or to this clip, just to tidy it up a little bit. And then use my trim tool in here, just to round off the edges of this particular little loop. And then the rest of the song come from there. I can put guitars on it, I can put horns, I can put whatever else I want. I could fire in a little piano track using Mini Grand, and then bring in maybe something more hip hoppy, an actual melody that's kind of going along with it. Mini Grand, Mini Grand, Mini Grand. And hopefully what you're seeing is here how quickly it is to build up ideas. But what I like about this is that we're not just dragging in loops and then doing that endless thing that a lot of Ableton producers do, which is just next loop, next loop, next loop, next loop, next loop, next loop. We're thinking about the construction of the song here. We're actually forcing ourselves to have a starting point and then to build songs on top of it. This is actually really good from a production point of view, because a lot of the work you guys might end up doing is sitting with singer-songwriters, producing their music in the box, okay? Not just about finding the perfect kick, finding the perfect hi-hat, actually about coming in here and composing ideas along with an actual performer and their intellectual property, composing ideas. Okay, so you might want to put a wee piano on top of this. Again, this might be total garbage, but we'll give it a little go. What I'll do is I'll just loop, repeat this, Alt-R 3 times please, and then in we go. Okay, something like that as a starting point. Then go in, quantize this, sort it out, can change the notes in here if there's one I don't like, I can move it around, I can do all that sort of stuff with it. Okay, again, I'm not showing you how to write the song, just some of the ideas. And I can't play really this, but I do have musical, obviously, knowledge, so I can maybe pull together very quickly a basic part. But then it might change, you might get to the end of the song and then you pull it back and go, that bass line's crap, I'm going to take that out and put something else in. That piano part would sound much better on a little twinkly synth, something like that. You know, that's what you guys will bring to it. I'm just showing you how to get there. So I didn't want to go past 10 with this, and that's 10:01 on the nose. Anybody get any questions? Yep.
Yeah, since I was kind of late, what's it like?
We're building up our composition, but I'll make the video available so you can watch it on the VLE, okay?
Do we need to use a sample? So you need to use one sample?
I want you to use a drum loop to begin with, yeah, to pull it in. Yeah.
I'm not anything with like a sample, but like it's already a song. No, it's like an old singing sample.
Okay, cool. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, definitely. You could write your own drum groove, but I want you to bring in like maybe percussion shakers, stuff like that, squish them, stretch them, move them into time, because it's all about audio and MIDI integration. The acoustic recording of a drum kit has always been used in dance music from the very inception of it, and hip hop, of course. It was always sampling old records, Motown records, that kind of thing, classic funk, and then taking the little hits, little samples from it, and generating new ideas. So I really want us to always be thinking about the audio and the MIDI and the integration part of it. And remember, humans respond to acoustic instruments naturally. Okay, air getting moved, picked up by a microphone, coloured by a preamp, processed in a studio. We respond to it differently as we do to synthesised drum sounds. That's why still in dance music you're still using generally real samples, and you're still using, to a point, maybe overly processed and it takes it away, but that general kind of vibe is what we're after. And I know you've been doing lots and lots of MIDI stuff in the afternoon, so I really want to start introducing audio into the game as well. So that's why, yeah, I'd like you to try and use some sort of audio loop in the background. Okay, it doesn't have to be the groove per se, but I think it'd be a good place to start. You don't have to. I would like to see it, but some sort of percussion in there, something. The reason is because when you're using elastic audio time compression, expansion to squish and move the audio around, it makes most sense, or it's most noticeable doing it with your drum kits, okay, because you've got very clear, this is the start of the bar, this is the end of the bar, so it makes it a wee bit easier for this point when we're learning about it. But if you're comfortable moving straight on past it, that's fine. But I don't want to just see a session full of MIDI. I want to see audio, pre-recorded audio in there as well. If any of you guys want to bring in records, we've got a record player there, and we'll take the USB out and we'll print it into a Pro Tools session and enable. So if you've got any classic sort of EPs or LPs that you want to bring in, we'll do it, and we'll create our little tracks. We'll isolate our little loops, and then we'll get in there and we'll cut them up, and we'll make a song out of it. We've got one of the guys in the second year went to a record fair thing on his way into college on Wednesday, and turned up with this classic Louis Armstrong record, and we found in every song we found at least 5 or 6 different drum patterns that would sound absolutely amazing in hip hop. So it was really good, really creative. Okay, so that's why that's there. So I'd like to start, especially doing remixing, bringing in your LPs, and I'll do the same. Although I've only got 2. I've got Bleach by Nirvana, and I've got Noel Edmonds' Funny Phone Calls that I bought from a friend and never got around to giving them. So I don't know if you get some cool hard-hitting samples out of that. Excellent, man. Yikes. Cool. Maybe I just bring a few of them. Perfect. Cool. And it's brilliant, man. Excellent. So we might get some good melodic samples in there as well. Perfect. Disco's always a good one. Really solid grooves, excellent kick drums. Love to sample that stuff. Yeah, excellent. Alright folks, so I'll make this wee video available on the VLE. It covers everything. I know I've rushed through some things, so it will be there for you to check as well. Okay, next one.